little bit through the bush at the moment, but we're just going to wait for him. He's eating some of those leaves, and then he should come around and we'll see if he maybe wants to have a look at us. Big elephant this. Every time I see him I realize actually Wonky is a little bit bigger and older than we tend to think, maybe because he's not quite as physically developed as you might think with some other bulls his age. But if you look at his skull and his tusk, definitely an elephant bull that's busy getting there. Interesting enough with elephants, as they get older, sort of here in their early mid-30s, they start slowing down in terms of their sort of normal skeleton growth. In other words, the legs and the body doesn't grow that much anymore. Elephants grow throughout their life, different from us. But what happens then is they start bulking up more, so more of the energy then goes into muscle development, and also the skull starts getting bigger, especially with bulls. The head starts getting much larger. That's why when you look at elephants of about 35, 40 years old, you can start seeing the difference. The heads start looking very large. And when they're in their 40s and early 50s, when they're really in their prime, these big bulls have enormous physical mass. You know, the back legs, the haunches, the back muscles, shoulders, very, very powerful, huge heads. Sort of like you can see here, look at that beautiful, that little tree in the background, massive Wonky. And the drongo in the foreground, look at that, just landed right here. As I was saying, is that the skulls get bigger, but also the tusks. The tusks start growing up to twice as fast as it did in their teens, in the early 20s. So Wonky has reached that age, I'd say probably mid-30s, maybe to adjust that estimate from earlier slightly, mid-30s, 35, 36. Some people that's quite old, or some other people that's not old at all. For an elephant, that's just getting into your prime. Sort of like I think of humans as well. Very interesting bit of behavior. If you look at this little bird, little drongo, you can see in there right underneath the tusk almost. That's just the way we're seeing it. He's actually sitting closer to us than he is to an elephant. There you can see him, fork-tailed drongo. But what's interesting is it shows you this bird is not only relaxed with the elephant, he's also relaxed with us. He's sitting very close to us, so it shows you that most likely, as much as he's happy to follow an elephant or a rhino around to find his food, this little bird would also be happy to follow a vehicle around. Land Cruiser or Land Rover, I don't think they're that particular. But any big vehicle moving through the bush, they know that it's going to create the same kind of opportunities as a big animal would, like this elephant, for instance. Quite interesting about that tusk. A little difficult to see it often. We had a view there, sorry I mentioned it a bit late. Let's see if he turns again. It's not only the shape it's in, the fact that it's twisted like that or turned. It's also got a sort of a very, very long groove split along it. Which again shows it must have been quite a severe injury. Maybe this elephant fell down a steep bank when he was very small. The only thing that I could really think of had a very large impact on the jaw. Maybe on the back foot in the process, you never know. There's a variety of circumstances that could have caused that. The guy. Well, I think we'll say goodbye to him for now. The way he's walking off slowly there, you can see him just moving away from us. Generally in a very positive direction as far as I'm concerned. They're sort of making their way up towards quarantine. Inevitably that will probably be Gowrie Pan. Maybe a little bit later on this evening or sometime into the night we'll see and hear some elephants around there. And also, like I mentioned at the beginning when we saw Wonky the first time, he does often like to spend his time in the vicinity of lodges, in the vicinity of waterholes. So I won't be surprised if we get to see quite a bit of him over the next week or so. Brilliant.